Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of League of Inches podcast. Joined again with Trav. Me and Trav back at it again for some Supercoach Tradies and Team List special. How are you, mate?
Yeah, going well, mate. And yourself?
Yeah, mate. Riding that high, like we were just talking about.
So
Massive
you
win.
should. So
Up
you
the
should.
Blues.
What a game! I asked
Oh,
for it. I wanted a good one. I said I wanted a gladiator fight. I wanted it. I wanted it tough. I wanted blood. I wanted sweat. I wanted all sorts of things, and I got what I wanted.
yeah, it
Other
was
than other than the Maroons winning, but
of
yeah,
course.
it's a
No, it
whole
was
other.
yeah, mate, what a game. What an unbelievable game. That was honestly one of the best games of footy I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was
Genuinely.
very entertaining.
It was just full on 80 minutes, just back and forth. Bloody loved it. And yeah, hell of a result. Both sides too. Props to them. They put on a show. So good stuff.
And lots of Supercoach news out of it.
Oh God, carnage if anything. Just freaking chaotic.
Yeah,
I love to see a biff, but I hate to see some suspensions, especially for a player who wasn't even playing.
he was in a
I
suit.
reckon he was in a suit, so that's the worst one to take, I think, from that whole little episode. But it was good to see him, get amongst it. But even still, just give us a week off, please.
Yeah.
I don't have trades left. I don't have the trades left to be worrying about this. Um,
Who does? Who does?
no one exactly. But we'll crack into some team list action. We'll get into that, and then we'll start talking the fun stuff, the trades, and now obviously that we've had a day to settle off from post Origin business. I think we might have a bit better of an idea about who's going to be backing up too, which could be pretty handy for it. So first game, Raiders Warriors. Again, not a whole lot of Origin relevancy here, but um, for the Raiders, massive inclusion. Jamal Fogarty's back for them. It's pretty huge for them. They've done pretty well in his absence, to be fair to him, but yeah, they definitely need him for the run. So he's back in the side. So is Hudson Young and Zach Hosking too. So big inclusions for the Raiders and for the Wars. Barnett and Capel are both expected to back up, it seems. So makes sense. Capel didn't really do anything at all of note, so I suppose he's going to be fit and firing to get back in that side. Torpiki's at fullback. Tuabasa Shek's on the wing. So a couple of little changes there for the Wars. Um, into the next game, Rabbitohs versus Tigers. Again, Jai Gray at fullback, the back line as expected, Cody Walker in there too. Cameron Murray is going to have a 2-game suspension, so he's still listed in the second row. I doubt that happens. Um, expect Talis Duncan to come in. So still, the team was haven't kind of updated from the chaos that ensued of the game, but outside of that, Rabbitohs kind of look how they do. For the
No, but Murray,
Tigers,
sorry, man. The Murray news is even better for Coolamatangi owners and people who are keen to get him in. Even better.
yeah, I would say so too. But at the same time, like they've lost a couple of their biggest players in the last couple of weeks. They would have to be, running pretty thin now, you would think. Obviously, when it comes to Keon, he plays 80 minutes. He's fine. Like he's got that position locked down. I think he's an excellent buy. Um, how do the Rabbits go though? Like I don't see a late push now for the 8, as unlikely as it would have been.
Well,
Um,
this is a very winnable game for him against the Tigers. So this, if anything,
yeah.
this is a game that they've got to turn up for. So, yeah, if you're
Mm.
a Coolamatangi owner, if you're a Walker owner, but if you went the risk on Jai Gray last week, I think they're all good playable options, and
Yeah,
I think Coolamatangi is definitely my pick of the top two front rowers.
100%. Yeah. Looking like he was the buy last week, to be fair, for anyone that jumped on Olakawatu. For the Tigers, Api Coruscant's listed in the reserve, so that's a big one. Obviously, probably looked like he was going to be out for a little while, maybe only 1 to 2 weeks, so could be worth holding. Talon Silva takes his spot. Outside of that, nothing too major and notable for the Tigers. They kind of look like how they normally do. Um, much on them, mate?
Not really. No, Galvin's probably a keeper. I think you can hold him. I mean, you can sell him too, but I think he's an easy hold with what's
Yeah,
happening.
I think so too.
Um,
There's bigger fires to put out than having,
yeah,
a 5'8" who was dirt cheap, scoring 60 almost every week. So
yeah, that's it. So yeah, I think he's an easy hold. He can also be a sell. Appy's an interesting one. Hooker's a bit of a mess, eh? So that's it. Yeah, if you've got cover, it's not a problem or a headache that I have to deal with. I've got Marnie and Robson. But yeah, if you've got cover, I'd try to keep him. We're all low on trades at the moment, but if you don't, it's not a bad one to trade him either. I think the ebbs and flows of how Appy plays is a bit annoying and frustrating for some people and owners. We all thought we were going to get this goal-kicking maestro is going to put up 80, 90 every week, and it's not been the case. So too often he'll do a high score and then he'll give you nothing. So you just
pretty much.
It's too hard to have. So.
Yeah. Basically, man. But,
and there's some good options, which we'll talk about later on.
Oh, 100%, especially in the hooking slot. So next game, Knights and Broncos. So a lot of Origin effect plays in this one. For the Knights, they'll probably all back up. I expect Ponga to back up. You got Dane Gagai. Bradman Best potentially not with the way that his lip looked. He could be out for just to sit out a game, considering you got that all stitched up. Will Price is still named at 5'8", but Tyson Gamble's floating around, waiting in the ranks. So we may already see a swap there for your Will Price, unfortunately for the new owners to him. Tyson Brazil, Kai Pearce-Paul starts in the second row as well. Dylan Lucas on the bench, and still Jaden Brayley on the bench as well. So not happening for him. And for the Broncos, geez, I suppose where do you start with the Broncos? I don't really know what happens to these Origin boys. Look like Carrigan got himself in a moon boot, I believe, after the game, so he could be sitting out for a little while. I'd imagine that Payne Haas probably backs up for him too, so he'll be fine for that end. Yeah, surely, considering they can't afford it. Reece Walsh was also pretty battered too, so I expect these guys, as unlikely as it would be for them, they do need to back up. I just don't see it happening. Adam Reynolds isn't too far away either. There was suspect that he was going to actually be back this round. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but he's definitely he's on the extended, so just like the rest of them, I suppose. And wait before kickoff, but it's a bit of a tricky one to kind of predict with them. You got Walsh, Cobbo, Carrigan, Haas, and Reynolds. I really only expect Haas and Cobbo to back up, to be honest with you. But in their absence, you got players like Xavier Willison just killing it this season so far. He's getting some good minutes out of him. Josh Rogers too. I think he's only played a couple games here and there, but done a job for him either way. So it's a must-win game for the Broncos. They can't afford to lose anymore if they want a shot at the 8.
Yeah, interesting game. Like, it's a really interesting game. You got Kalen Ponga. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of love and interest for him. And I'm really keen to get him in. At that break even of 180 doesn't really deter me. I think I just need, but as you know, I need that fullback, which we'll talk once we've done TLTs about our teams. Ignore the Greg Marju 14 that happened last week. That's just an anomaly. Even for his crappy year, other than the last few weeks, that's just an anomaly. Plus, I didn't watch that game, but did I hear that he got a cork or he got a leg injury or something like that happened?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And now you've got Kalen Ponga back to sort that out. So who is pretty much said he's going to. Well, word is that he is backing up. So Will Price, I did sort of warn everyone a couple of weeks ago. I'm just not sure. I thought he was going to be a good option, but I also, there's just too much going on there with the Knights and who they can have in their rotations and what they can play with with those few spots. So it was always a risk, and he's really only going to win you 50 odd K, didn't he? So
basically, yeah.
Not
enough.
Broncos is a hard one. they have to play. Like, they've really got to play because of where they're sitting on the ladder. But it'll be tough for them to do it. And I don't think we're going to get Supercoach wise. We're going to get a lot out of them.
No.
Other than Payne Haas, who I just think's just has an unbelievable motor, an absolute monster and a beast, and he plays with so much ticker. I think he'd be right anyways. But that's about all I've got for the Bronx that game.
Yeah. Now into the next game. Storm versus Roosters. This will be a big one. Very keen for this. For the Storm, Harry Grant looks to back up. Don't know how, don't know why, but that's what we're looking at. So, outside of that, Nick Meaney is expected back into the centres too. So, Grant Anderson shifts onto the wing. A couple of minor changes for him, but overall, yeah, good side. It's going to be a big one. I really don't expect either of these two teams to let up. Yeah, man, I'm keen to see how this one runs out. But for the Roosters, Tedesco at fullback, Tupanua still in the centres, Dom Young on the wing outside him, which is nice to see. Terrell May starts, massive. That's just the best thing to see every single week. Angus Crichton looks to be backing up. So does Connor Watson. So and Lindsay Collins. So there's a fair few things going on. What do you make of this one, mate?
As a Storm fan, I want none of them to back up, and they can all sit out. As a Supercoach fan, Angus Crichton has to play because I bloody well need him with the Olakau'atu news. And obviously the Nickera bye with the Sharks.
Yeah.
Terrell May's 80 is unreal. If you're still holding Terrell May, you've got to keep holding him. I reckon
Yeah,
that
100%.
he's locking in big minutes there.
Yep.
And we'll talk about this a lot more later on, but yeah, Connor Watson. Like there's a lot of talk about Connor Watson and how good a pickup he is, and it's probably our favourite buy. He's probably my massive trade target for everyone. I contemplating it, but I think I've got a couple of fires I've got to put out way before I can do that one. But yeah, he looks like an amazing buy. Look, if you don't have Angus Crichton, this is your week to get him. Get him. You got to get him. You just have to own him. He's the best 2RF in the comp.
Oh, yeah, I know, 100%. Yeah, I'm looking at my side now with a big glaring hole in my second row with old Koatu out. Obviously, Nico on the bench and two Nuffs that I'm not a fan of. So it's I don't have a full side, and it's I don't want to trade out a Olakau'atu a week after getting him, but to get Crichton, I think it's my only option. So
yeah, and look, it'll be
we can
touched
get
on
into
more.
that.
He's 2 game suspension, then he goes into the bye, so you're not seeing him for 4 more weeks. So that's the Olakau'atu stuff. In terms of the Storm, Harry Grant is looking like he'll play. I actually think, to be honest, I'd like to see Harry not play. Just on what's happened after Origin yesterday, he had a pretty big game. He wasn't too bad for what he had to do. I think it'd be nice to see him out. And look, the Storm don't have to win. I think we just got to be competitive. Wishart's a good option here. I feel Wishart needs to be held this week just with everything that's happening. And I reckon he's your serious and easy move to Cleary next week. So wait until next week on Cleary, I think. And if you're holding Pappy, which you are, Jesse, I think you'd be you're a very happy man.
Yep. Say it every week.
Great pod option.
Yeah, big time. And there's a little almost fullback roulette play that I've got in mind for a couple of weeks' time with Pappy, which could be fun. But I just need to make sure I've got a trade to do it. But yeah, no, look, expecting Harry Grant to play. There's no Bronson Garlick on the bench this time around. I don't know why. I haven't really heard much news around that one. So he either plays the full game after a bit of a slog, or potentially, don't know if they move it around, get Wishart to play hooker, maybe put Meaney at 5'8", cover some holes there. I don't know. I think the standard issue thing would just be run Grant out at 9 and just see how he goes.
Nick Meaney against the Roosters concerns me deeply in the centres. Then that's my Storm fan. That's my Storm side of things going. Nick Meaney in the centre. I love Nick Meaney. I actually think he's not near at the back half of the worst centres in the competition. I think he's in the top half of the centres in the comp. His kicking certainly helps with that. He's a fantastic kicker. But coming up against those Roosters centres, Jesus, like Dom Young's going to have a field day.
Well, he runs up against Suwali, doesn't he?
Yeah, and Tupanua, sorry.
Tupanua. Yeah, see, I wouldn't be super worried about that, to be honest.
And
But
it worries me. I just that's the downfall. That left edge, that left side for the Melbourne with Warbrick and Meany is the biggest weakness, and any side that comes up against that concerns me.
Well, what side's Angus on? The left? So they're not up against each other. Either way.
No.
It'll be a fucking hell of a game, I reckon. Keen as for it.
Yep.
Into the next, blockbuster showdown, Panthers versus Dolphins. Cleary's back. Cleary's back. That's all I need to see, to be honest. I just need to see him run out for 80 minutes and not get injured again, and he's walking his way back into my side. As far as the rest of the Panthers go, unfortunately, Dylan Edwards out 4 weeks, potentially, I think knee injury, after getting a man of the match performance. Jesus, the guy puts it on, runs almost 300 odd meters, basically does everything, and then comes out at the end. Then he had a knee injury the whole time. So, yeah, absolute gun. But so Isaac Tungo becomes a decent option again, potentially with Cleary back in at a really nice price. Casey McLean's in the centers too. Alamotti on the wing. So, not sure what happens with the rest of the Panthers side backing up. I know Yo definitely is out. I think that's all but confirmed. As far as Luai, Brian Toto, I don't know yet. I actually haven't seen too much outside of that, but they're on the extended, same as Liam Martin. Good chance they actually get a run. So, yeah, all but Yo and Edwards, I would say.
Unfortunate for Edwards owners. That's 4 weeks. He's got to go. You can't hold him, not at this time of the year. And then 4 weeks, he probably plays a couple of games just to get back in the match fitness, and then probably sits out 1 or 2 at the end of the year. So we just can do that. Cleary coming back is is obviously big news, and everyone's getting him in. And I think he's in the top 2 for the trade-ins, and albeit to him, good on him. That's a good one. I'm going to hold off. But that's a good one. And as you said, and you touched on Tungo with Cleary back, and Tungo's price at $398K. So it's a very serious option.
Yeah. For what he can put out and for the numbers that he puts up with Cleary in the side, Jesus, $398K. It's a steal, but it just depends. Like he's played a lot of games this season so far, and has basically done pretty much nothing with it all. So basing around 38, which is pretty good, to be fair, for a center. Like you take that decent base out of it, but the attack just hasn't been there. So we'll see if Cleary makes all the difference. But in the past, traditionally it has. So very keen on that. But for the Finns, Hammer's back at fullback. Azarko and Herbie in the centers. Jack Bostock is absolutely flying right now. For anyone that has him, he's a gun. Unfortunately, can't say the same for Azarko. He's been a bit lackluster of late. So Max Plath in the 9. Tavita Pangai Jr. I got some eyes open for this fella right now. I've got a bit of a hole to fill, and Pangai in the 10. Very appealing. Kafusi Lemuelo in the second row with Kenny Bromwich starting at lock. So also Trey Fuller's on the bench for anyone that has Trey Fuller after all the buy round shambles. But yeah, there's a couple things. I suppose Maxi Plath at the hooker position, he did it all right last week too. I was a little bit worried about his sort of output, but again, I suppose it's never in doubt with him. He's a gun. What do you think of Pangai, mate?
Didn't think I was going to get asked that question.
Yeah, I know. Throw one. Curveball.
He got 90 last week.
Killed it. You got to try too.
Yeah, but he's
even still,
that's still even with it. Take the try out, and that's still a good score. He's dual. Is he dual?
He's dual. Yep.
Yep.
He's dual, and he's
379K. I don't love it. I like it. I think it's a good option. It's going to help a lot of teams, particularly this week with some of the injuries. Yeah, I don't love it, but can see it. I don't hate anyone for doing it. Can make sense. And your understanding of with you and how you're doing it, I think it's a good thing, and I can see what you're doing. But yeah, I'm not for me.
Yeah, we'll get into that in the trade side of things, but I have options at the moment, and he kind of fits the bill for one of them. But overall, I think after the Origin stuff and just with the Dolphins in general, like their fixtures kind of get a bit tricky from this point onwards, here and there. But um, essentially, they're almost losing Marshall King's massive out for him. I was going to say they're almost back to full strength, but they kind of aren't in a way. So
the other one of note is Aiken out.
Yeah, Ewan Aiken out is a big loss. They have just been copping it week by week, bit by bit, losing someone very important to the side. So, yeah, look, it's going to be a tricky one against the Panthers regardless, but just have to see how they finish the year. They got to finish the year strong, surely. Manly and the Titans. I think this is second last game of the week. Tommy Turbo and Keeney, the battle of the fullbacks. So, yeah, this is going to be a good one. Tom Turbo back at fullback again. So still seeing Lehigh Hopewadi on the wing. Obviously no Cooler. Tommy Talau in the centres with Saab out inside him as well. So it's still another reshuffle for him. But again, they haven't really got the options. Luke Brooks, Cherry Evans backs up. Jake Simpson starts in the 9. Ola Kawatu obviously going to be suspended for 2 weeks. With a bye, Carl Lawton's in the second row. I believe that Corey Waddell is probably going to be the one that's taking Olakawatu's spot on the second row, not Burbo, unfortunately. So that would have been pretty handy, but I don't think that's going to happen. For the Titans, Keanu Keeney's back at fullback for you, mate. If you still got him now, do you still have him?
Yep.
Oh God, that's such a good thing. Brimson, unfortunately, looks like he's tweaked his injury again, or he's back on the extended. Whatever happening, maybe some more Desi mind games, but for the minute, you got Keeney at fullback. So Brian Kelly and Sammy in the centres, Camperera and Fifita on the wings. Jaden Campbell keeps his 6. God bless. He's an absolute freak. He's been killing it lately. Fodder is expected to back up too. Obviously, Fifita will be there. Didn't have to back up from nothing. Firmer on the edge with Randall at lock. So, yeah, look, this Titan side always shuffles around. They always seem to get the job done, which is nice lately. They've actually doing really well, playing some really entertaining footy for majority of the game. They eventually just drop off. Look, anything at Four Pines, you have to back Manly in. But what are you thinking about this one?
I love Turbo, and I think he's going to be my fullback by that 119. Look, he played against a pretty horrible Knights team that was decimated by Bradman Best and Dane Gagai both being out, Marzu not having anything, Ponga not playing, and the mess that they have with their ball players. So granted, a lot of his play was attacking stats through those points, but you can only score and play against what the other opposition puts up against you. It'll be interesting to see what happens this week. I actually think the Turbo matchup against the Titans is still very juicy. And as good as the Titans have been playing, they're leaky. So at 730K, he's just put up that 119. Turbo looked fresh, like he looked pretty good. It'll be interesting to see now against a team that's pretty much, full rested and ready, what he's like. But yeah, I think that's I think Turbo's a good option. DC, he's sneaky at 600K. Loves an end of the year. Loves the end of the year. And Manly are in the hunt. They're playing good footy. They're in the bottom 4 of the 8. Like they're there. I think DCE is a sneaky option there for that 600. Play with some Jules Brown down to him mightn't be a bad play.
Well, Brown and him are basically identical prices, man. Brown's $5.99, so you're pretty much going sideways. Now with Moses out too, you just don't know with the Eels. Their run sucks from here on.
That's right. I'd just be getting off Parramatta as much as I can. The only one that I'd be talking about is Blaze, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah. I actually think that's a sideways trade that's worth it. But that's further discussion. If you don't have Ruben Garrett, get him. I really, really want him.
Should get
I
him.
have I have everyone to find out what my options are soon and why I'm saying I want them, but probably won't get them. David Fafita is a pretty good option this week too. If you don't have him, yeah, I got Keeney, as I said. He's got a monster break even, but if we think he's going to play fullback, I kind of got to keep him. I have to make my other trades, and Jaden Campbell's my probably my favourite at the moment for a captaincy nod. He's
That's a
just
fair
been a
point.
monster. He's been a monster, and he's kicking too, and he's kicking well. So
God, he kicks good.
they're extra points there. So yeah, that's about it for
No,
that.
I love his kicking form. Hey, I love the outswing as the little bit of knuckle he gets through him too. Jeez, it's just good to watch. But no, I'd say he's the form player of the competition right now. Jaden Campbell, he's just insane. Last month has been wild for him. But yeah, no, some good options this game. I do like the Cherry Evans shirt. I said it last week that I was kind of like eyeing him off at 600. It's just very, very appealing. They do have a good run, as good as every other Manly player, obviously, and his break even's super low. I think it's like 8 or something like that as well. So near about to nothing. Yeah, I really like it. And I just don't think he's going to be heavily owned no matter what happens from this point on. I think the stars never really align for Cherry Evans to be in most sides, but look, he's at the moment he's in 6% of teams overall, just under 10,000. Currently traded in by 1,200. It's just not happening. So yeah, break even's 15, but yeah, look, I think he's a great option. Yeah, so with Turbo, that was his best game of the year too. Freaking killed it. And admittedly, I reckon probably 30 or so of his points should have gone to Garrick that game. I think they were kind of just given some Turbo love just to buff his break even back to his 120 odd. But yeah, good signs. Yeah, we said I did anyway. I said it the last week when we were talking about it. I was a little worried about his long term prospects just as a player. Feel like he just needs a bit of time to come back and regain his legs and everything else. But I was proven quite wrong after that game. It looked like he just needed a week. So yeah, that's the best. That's one of the best fullbacks in the game. Like I suppose he's never in doubt. His talent's unquestionable. But yeah, especially against the Titans too. Like you look at the previous scores that he's put against them. Last game he played against the Titans scored 86. That was in round 7. The last game before that was in 2021. That's how long it's been since he's actually played the Titans. He scored 208. That's just ridiculous. And then in 2021, earlier in that season, 116. So he loves putting it on the Titans. The thing is, though, I think with any of the Manly players at the moment, you buy them in, they got the Roosters next week, and then they got to buy. So you just got to be aware of it. Especially this back end of the season, there's a lot of good fullbacks to look at. So you're just pretty much committing, I would say, at that point and locking it in. But on to the final game of the week, the Cowboys and the Bulldogs. So for the Cows, as expected as always, they've named their entire Origin side on the extended bench. And as far as I think we're both aware, the entire side's backing up. So you would expect to see Cotter, Robson, Nanai, Dearden, Holmes all play, which would be good for them, especially for a home game against the Dogs. They're not going to be an easy beat by any means. For the Doggies, Tracy at fullback. You got Carraz on the wing with Cherry inside. Stephen Crichton is there. Burton Sexton in the halves. Josh Curran starts with Max King injured. So massive for your current owners. Massive for Sam Hughes owners potentially too if he gets more than 20 minutes. Preston's also back and Kurt Mann is named at lock. So a little bit of changes, but I reckon some decent improvements there for the Dogs. Some good bolstering, even at the expense of Max King. So first thoughts on these two, man.
Love that all the Origin boys are backing up. that's big news. That's certainly going to help everybody. That was one of the big fears. There's a lot of people who still own homes. I'm a Robson owner. Yeah, so it's good to hear that they are backing up. They're great holds. I wouldn't buy either of them. So if you don't own them, don't buy them. I think there's other options to buy, but still good to hold. Drinkwater is a good option as pod at a fullback now. A lot of us had Drinkwater up until Origin time and things, but or up until they had their 3 buys, the last or whatever, 2 buys up in between Origin. So a lot of us did own Drinkwater. He's now a pod fullback. So he's another good option. There are better options for fullbacks with softer draws, but yeah, that's a good option. Your man, a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned Matt Burton. Well, he is now 539K. Take that as you will. And has a break even of 48. So, he's going to come off the high of being the 18th man for 3 games in a row for the New South Wales team.
Take that all the way to the bank.
Yep. Geez, he's cheap. 539 for what he was doing. That's cheap.
It's actually crazy.
Very happy Carraz owner. Love that that I have Carraz. If you don't have him, I think he's a good one. But you can also sit on him, but because he's got a break even of 126, you don't have to sit on that just yet. But if you've got him, it's a good option. Actually, it's the last game. If something doesn't pop up, I have a feeling that I may end up putting a bit of a pod captain option on Carraz this weekend, just against some tired bodies of Cowboys who have got to travel back up playing heat. So I think Carraz might be a good option. Just a pod play, that one.
I like that.
I love Sam Hughes, and the front row forwards options that we're at the moment is that a lot of us are still holding Sam Hughes. He's a good hold. I actually think he's a good hold, and I'm probably going to end up I'm actually going to keep him all year. I've got to, because I think at points he's going to end up playing 50, 60 minutes. And then there'll be games where he plays 15, 20. And that's what they do, I think. And I've read in some articles and paperwork and things that, they're taking that they rate Sam Hughes very highly, and they're being quite conservative with him. This is a long haul development on a dude that they love. He's good, and he's going to be good, but they are saying they're playing quite conservative. This week with Max King's injury, maybe one of those weeks that he gets those big minutes, but yeah, don't put that in the bank for 2 weeks in a row.
I wouldn't think so, but just have to see, mate. He's shown it in a couple of games too. Like he does like to go for the try line occasionally when he gets close, and he gets minutes, puts out a decent score, but it's just so inconsistent. You can't really rely on it.
It's hard to. You just don't know. It's really it's really a pot option. You're rolling the dice. You don't know, and you sit there and cross your fingers and hope to hell that the week that you do have to play him, which is probably this week, is going to be one of his ones that he plays a few minutes. But everything's looking forward for him to do that. So yeah, good option.
I would say so as well. But that's the team list. So a couple of big changes, a lot of big ins this week, obviously Cleary and the like. So it's good to just see some guns finally returning to footy after such long layoffs. But I suppose coming off the bye round, we just finished up on everything, and now we're back into the swing of it. I suppose this is still a mini bye in a way, this round 20. How did you go last week?
I was pretty happy with all things considering. I got 926. It made me rise 940 spots. And I actually, as I was watching this, thinking 926, I thought I might actually rise a lot more, but only 940. So I'm now just over 16,000th rank, but I'm sitting quite pretty. If I think last week for me, the Ewan Aitken injury, the pec injury, which has now put him out for the year with his 12, was killer. Keeney, last minute getting put to the bench. So he comes on and gets a 22. Fletcher Sharps, crappy 50 and a belting that they got. Mazu with a 14 and a belting that he got. And there's 3 scores that I had to take that yeah, I wasn't I was pretty confident I'd get a good score out of Fletcher Sharp. And once I knew Keeney was going to the bench, I sort of knew that was going to happen. But I thought maybe I might skip him. He might be that one that drops out, gets to the 14th man, and I tick the other ones. But then Ewan Aiken's injury stuffed that around. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty happy. I took an 80 Cody Walker captain, so I looped him with the 80, and I'm pretty happy with that too. Having a look at what a lot of people got for 80, so I'm set up. I brought in Campbell, so his under 11 was a godsend for me. Yeah, I think I'm set up well. I've got a couple of fires to put out this week. Aiken, and my decision on what I do with him. Do I nuff him because I think I'm pretty comfortable with my centres? Or do I push him up for 70k to Garrick? And then I'll end up with 7 playing or 6 playing centres. So, that's is that an option? And Keeney getting named this week, I think, even with his break even of 167, I think I kind of got to keep him. I don't think I don't think I can trade him, and I think I'm going to have to try and find the cash to go Sharp up. So I might end up having to go. What have I got? I've still got 7 trades. I was only really wanting to make 1 this week, but if I have to make 2 and play out the rest of the year, then I'm okay with that because I think my team's pretty good. I got 316k in the bank. So if I mean, potentially I could go Aiken down to a Tungo, and Sharp up to any of the centers I want. Any of the fullbacks I want. And then I just keep Keeney. And so, yeah, so I've got the options. I'll sit there and talk more about those in a minute. But, yeah, pretty happy with what I had last week.
That is pretty good score considering you did have a lot of really low ones, actually. So that's, yeah, it's pretty good. And you saw green too, which is nice. I saw a little bit of green this week, which I was still pretty happy with. I scored 989. Brought in Jaden Campbell for Nico Hines. Probably a month too late, obviously, in hindsight, looking back. But either way, I got him in now. So, Nico hindsight.
I like that.
And then, yeah, I got in Olakau'atu as well. I had a plan to trade out Sam Hughes and spend all my coin on him, but I opted against it. To be fair, it was more, looking back now, it's bloody luxury. Traded out Samuel Afinu. I was just thinking more long term. I just wanted a better gun to fall back on, and my front row is stacked, and I didn't have to worry about it. Now Olakau'atu's gone, and I don't have enough second rowers to field a full side this week, so kind of hurts a little bit. But yeah, either way, 989. I went up 267 spots. So now I'm sitting at 2,404. So, pretty good. 8 trades left as well. I didn't want to make any trades this week. I sort of set my team and coming into it, and I was like, yeah, this team will do the job this round. I'll just sit on them. And now it looks like I'll probably be making 2 trades, and I don't want to. So kind of hurts. And I've got 226k in the bank before I do anything at the moment. But again, I do need to get a second rower. Otherwise, I'll be playing with an AE. And that AE will probably be Burbo. So I can kind of get around it. But again, Burbo's on the bench. If he starts, I won't be so worried about it. My other option will be, actually, it's either going to be Burbo or it's going to be one of my last 2 R options. If I do no trades, my last R is either going to be sitting on Sam Hughes or Simkin. So it's like, which one do you run with? Probably going to do the exact same thing, to be honest. So I'm not really going to overthink that one too much. But yeah, side's looking okay. To be fair, I'm looking at it this week and I'm just like, God, you shitters, you're so rubbish. Just all it takes is just one player to put you off, and then you just look at the whole side in disgust. But no, they're doing a job.
Man, you got to get over yourself. You're in the top 2K. Like, seriously.
You know what, though? I'll even said this before. It's funny. The gap between me and first, points-wise, is the same gap on this side as it is from me and basically 30,000.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how these guys at the top are so far away when the rest of the pack is so congested. So that's what I mean. Like anything can change. You can end the year. I could end the year at 30K, and you could end the year in the top 2K, and it's
Yeah.
not that far apart, genuinely.
What
So
what did we work out? I was 800 and just over 800 points away from you
yeah,
in 16,000 spot to
exactly, man.
2,500. So yeah, it's that's 3-4 weeks of good play to your
Yeah,
horribleness.
pretty much. A couple good captains, and you're already there, man. That's honestly
Mm.
all it is. So we'll start getting into the trade stuff. Obviously, there's some big movers this week when you got people like Cleary and Turbo looking good. So um, for the outs, big major out, surprising, the most traded out player this week, Happy Coruscant. I suppose it makes sense, but in a way, I'm like, oh, if he's back for a week, you probably got two hookers, or alternatively, you're going straight to Connor Watson.
Hmm.
And I think that's a fantastic trade. If you've got Appy to Watson, I'm like, oh, I cannot fault that even
It,
slightly.
it costs you 70 grand to do that, but
Bargain.
it's a good option. In saying that, only 745 of those 7,000 have done Appy to Connor Watson. 1,500 have gone Appy to Reed Marnie. 1,077 have gone Appy to Turbo. So 826 have gone Appy to Cleary. So the options they're all a lot of jewels are
Mm,
being played this weekend.
definitely.
I don't mind it. I understand. You know, Appy's out 2 weeks, maybe more than likely 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Pretty up and down. And when they're down, they're really down.
Yeah.
Tigers team that just fired Robbie Farah.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so yeah, I see it. I don't mind it. I get it. Who knows when he's back and if he even comes back. So yeah, I can see
It's
the trade.
fair. Yeah. Fletcher Sharp's number two. So
That's a no-brainer.
that's a no-brainer at all, is it? Yeah, he's 359K. He's made you 155 basically if you've got him from the get-go. Um, thank you
Look, we
very much.
we
See you later.
yeah, thank you. You didn't do enough though, so we don't like you. Thank you. Thanks for giving us a bit of nothing, a start that gave us nothing. We were all banking on 250, 300K.
Yeah.
Ponga coming back early, stuffed that. Yeah, so yeah, it's a no-brainer. See you later.
Mm,
I'll be doing Fletcher Sharp out to this weekend myself.
that's it. Number three, mate, Nico. Big bag, Nico Hines. He's gone. So yeah, 5K out. Look, when Cleary's making his return, when you got players like Cherry Evans at 600K, Matt Burton at 540, I think you've got plenty of options for a good halfback right now.
Yeah, and look, if you help, like obviously they have 5,000 people are trading Nico Hines this week. They held on to him last week. They've gone 1,500 trades have gone to Cleary. It absolutely makes sense. It costs you 107 odd grand or so, but it makes sense. But I feel like if you held Nico Hines and
Mm,
you've got someone else. So I feel like you could probably hold Nico Hines again and trade him next week
one more week.
to Cleary. Yeah. Yeah. If you held him through the bye last week, you can probably hold him again this week. You more than likely got, if you've got Hughes, you've more than likely got if you've got Hines, you've more than likely got Hughes. So I honestly think that the play is to hold him one more week. However, it's the way up of the cost, right? So Cleary's 806K. Every likelihood that he gets 100 to 120, there's every chance that
Mm,
he can get anything from that. He's got to break in at 180. So, you'll a trade for 100 points, like an extra 100 points, like that's what you got to weigh up.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
points certainly talk.
Especially at this point of the season too, for the sake of potentially saving 50, 60, 80K, like I understand money's pretty thin at the moment, and I'm definitely looking at the money side of it. But shit, I'll be watching dead set from behind the couch thinking every time Cleary touches the ball, it's going to turn into points. And for how many people have traded him in so far this week? For the 7,968 people currently, they're going to be loving life because there's your captain option. Very late in the week against the Finns. I think he's very valid, but again, it's super risky. Do you get this guy back after a long layoff again with a hamstring? We haven't seen him play for a fair while.
And the
Is
last
he
time he came
captain?
back, and he played after game, didn't he? And then
Yeah.
got injured again.
Well,
So
I
just
bought him
don't know.
back last time. I had him. I traded him out when he got injured. I bought him back when he come back. I traded him back out when he got injured. So I'll be waiting a week this time. I don't think I can waste any more trades on getting putting him in and out.
There'll be 3 on him.
Yeah, brutal.
Look, in all honesty, like I said, if you've held Hines for a week, surely you can hold him another week.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Just have a look, get the run, watch him play. You might save yourself 100K. You know what I mean? You could be a straight swap between for literally nothing. So that's what I'm hoping for. Fingers crossed. Blaze Talungi number 4. I don't like this trade out. I really like Blaze Talungi as a player. I think he's really, really good. I think he's almost as good as he's one of those never in doubt kind of guys. He will seem to put up points no matter what he does. Obviously the Eels don't look very good, and especially now not with any Moses for the rest of the season. I just think the potential is too high for him. His output could be massive. But I understand for his price, you can do so much with it. What do you think?
Yeah, he's 580K. Geez, he's made 375.
I know.
I'll tell you why people are trading him at, and it's very easy. 1, he plays for Para, and they're horrible.
Yep.
2, they've got the bye this week, so he's not even playing. And then 3, he plays Melbourne, New Zealand over there, Penrith, Roosters in the next 4 weeks. That's why they're trading him out. So it doesn't. Word is that he's going to fullback, and they push Gutho up. That makes sense. And at fullback, that's a better option for him. But man, Para, they suck.
They are terrible.
Unfortunately, they suck. Sorry, League of Inches boys, but they do. And
but who doesn't?
And the other thing too is Riles has been released. He's gone up there. So there's also that side of the playing around with what's going to happen now that Moses is out. I wonder if Riles just sits there and says, boys, I want this, this, and this. I want to try some of these options. I don't really care about results. We're already embarrassed. So if we can't get any more embarrassed. So there's all that option too. However, Blaze Talungi is bloody good.
Yeah.
And I think he's still playing for his contract. I reckon he's going to sit there and go, I want to be a fullback. I want you to push Gutho out of there. I want to be your future fullback. So there's every opportunity for that. But, geez, to me, that's a much lower odds than him actually doing well. So, yeah, I think whilst I don't say it's a no-brainer, because I don't think it's a no-brainer, it's a bloody good option.
Yeah, you can definitely do a lot with that amount of coin. But again, I look at the scores that he's put up in a beaten Paraside. He hasn't played for a good team this year. As good as he has been individually, the team around him have not been. Scores of, obviously you can sort of dismiss the beginning of the year where he was between one position to another, to the bench and then drop. But 93 at fullback, starting off 102, 87, 69, 43, which has been his lowest since 66, 73, 52. Those are some solid numbers, really good numbers in a side that, has been getting beaten up. So I don't mind it, but their fixtures just get even worse from this point on. So yeah, it's a tricky one to work out.
And look, let's be
same as
honest.
number 5.
The Storm's going to go. The Storm's going to walk into this game against the Roosters with a few outs. It's still not a strong side, but then they come up against the Storm next week, and the Storm ain't going to want to lose to Para. So it's going to be that'll be a beat up. So
yeah,
I can just see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see why. Yep, I see why, and
Yeah.
I'd be doing it too.
Same as number 5, Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
Falls into the same boat.
He falls in exactly the same boat. And really, what has Brown done this year?
Scored you 50 at least every week.
Eh,
No more than
that's
80, but no
and
more
that's
than
not
no less than
and that's
50.
and that's not what we wanted. And he's lost 180K. He's cost us. Look, he's done it. He's done a reasonable job, and we're all sitting there keeping him, and we've kept him. But yeah,
He's done a
like
it's been
I
okay.
he's been okay. Like you're not going to say
It's
no. Like it's
just okay.
yeah, yeah. But with the run that's coming up, the opportunities around Jules, the fact that he's 600K, essentially, he's 599, 200.
Yeah.
He's on this bye this week. The run's coming up. Like, yeah, there's some. Yeah, I can see some serious Brown Jules to Cleary already.
Yep.
You know, I can look. I can even. I actually don't blame him for going Dylan Brown and Matt Burton after what he in his price. I don't see a problem with that either. So, yeah, I'm contemplating trading Brown out myself. I'm an owner, but I
Yeah.
won't be doing it this week.
No, I think Brown at the moment. Brown's in my halves, and I think Brown will become a brand new halfback next week. One that rhymes with Yathan Fleary. But
It's a
yeah,
terrible
look,
rhyme. I'm glad you're not in schools.
no, thank you. I don't even know who I was talking about. It's a mystery. Number 6 is your old boy, Ewan Aitken. So yeah, see you later, Ewan Aitken. We
Gotta
hardly
go.
knew ye. You got to
Yeah,
go. What a
gotta
shame.
go. It is a shame he was just sitting there doing the job, and I loved his duel. Like I just knew I could bank 60 points. Like I was just going to get it every week. I just
Yep.
knew it, and I was quite happy to have it. I was quite happy to have that, but and then get the odd 80. Yeah, so it's a shame. He's one of the fires I've got to put out. I've got options. We all have options. He's a good price. There are some good center wing options with that. And then if you've got the jewels to play with, like you've still got a Burgo in the 2RF or whatever, you can play some jewels there and maybe even help out your 2RF issues with Olukuatu being suspended for the next 2 weeks plus the bye. So, yeah,
Yep.
there's some options there.
Big
I
time.
see it. He's got to go.
Lockie Galvin.
Yeah, I
This is
talked
one.
about this before.
Yeah. I don't see the urgency for it, to be
Yeah,
fair.
it's not a must. He plays the Roosters. Like he could still
Yeah.
get a decent score against the Roosters. It's not a must trade. You
Souths.
still.
They play the Souths this week.
Oh, sorry. Did I say the Roosters? I said the
Yeah,
Roosters,
yeah.
didn't I? No, I
Yeah.
meant the Rabbits. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Wrong
bad.
Sydney
Sorry,
team.
everybody.
But yeah, it's the South. Like he could put on a clinic. You never know.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
he does it himself each game. Like he's been scoring quite well on his own in
Yep.
a side that isn't very good. So
That's right. Especially with Appy out.
yeah.
There's every likelihood that he gets more ball, he plays more ball, they put the ball in his hands straight through, hooker goes straight to him, and he's run like, see, I don't see a real definite need to trade him. Like he's got the Rabbits this week, he's got New Zealand next week, he's got the Cowboys, and he's got Newcastle, then he's got the Rabbits again, then he's got a bye, then he's got Manly, then he's got the bye, and he's got Para. So like
It's a
the
good run.
it's a great run. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just a
it's
bad
not a
side.
yeah, but a dude who's putting up decent numbers for you in a position that you really don't have too many other options. Like,
Yeah.
so like, you're going to sideways him to Burton, or you're going to nuff him. Like, that's an option too. In 5/8, you're probably only going to want to play 1/5/8 for the rest of the year. So there's the option there for Galvin to go straight to a nuff. I wouldn't. I think depth is starting to
Yeah.
become quite important, and we're all seeing how important that depth is. I don't like the trade with the Galvin out.
Yeah. I think when it
Yeah.
comes to 5'8s, providing he keeps his position, I genuinely think Jaden Campbell is the 5'8 to end the year with. I think no one does more than he does between now and then. But again, I would still find it risky not having a backup, especially not obviously with his history in general with injury and the like. But someone who plays basically almost every game, good fixtures, and has proven to score well. So yeah, you're going sideways, really. Like, obviously, Burton is a bigger name than him, I think, and you bank 30K doing it, which is very, very handy considering the quality of the two. But again, like, Galvin hasn't done anything really wrong at all this year, barring maybe 2 games where they were belted, where everyone did bad. So, um, yeah, I don't know. If that's your worst thing this week, then your side's doing all right. Mitch Moses, number 8, torn bicep. That sucks.
Yeah, it
That's the
does.
last
But
thing the Eels needed.
yeah, well, do they really care? They're on the bottom of the ladder, anyways. What an option to put in Sanders and make him play. So there's a serious option there to go down to Sanders and have a backup who's going to play the rest of this year. That could be an option for you.
Will he though? Or do you think
Yeah.
RC will the 5'8"? Brown goes back to 7.
Do they really want to play him?
Well, Sanders won't be there next year, so
No,
what's
he
the point?
won't. But yeah, well, true. And Riles is there. Yep. No, ignore what I
Sanders
just
would
said then.
would be potentially a nice draft pick if he's still on your waivers, but either way, I wouldn't buy a player like Sanders in your half spot this time of year anyway. Not worth it.
Either way, Moses has got to go. Unfortunately, see you
Yeah.
later. Lots of options. Halfback 660, easy trade straight to Cleary. Like if you've got endless cash, Hughes is a no brainer. If you've got the cash to do it, yeah. Otherwise, look, if you've got Mitch Moses, I guarantee you've got someone else. So again, you could hold Moses this week and see what happens with Cleary and bring him in next week.
I think that's the best ticket. It's either go to
It's pretty much what we said for Hines too.
saying exactly the same thing as Hines. You can either do it, go to Cherry Evans, do the pod thing, get 60K in the bank, have some fun, or wait a week, get Cleary like the mass as well. So, but again, it's Cleary. Like, shit, you got to get him. Kyle Hero, number 9, the base stat demon, finally gets himself a try. You trade him out.
Everyone wants to get rid of him, or 2,300 do. I'm locking. I've kept him for the
Trade
year.
up.
I'm keeping him.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to lock him in the centers. The only one that I would consider trading from my centers is Jay Gagai, and I'm certainly not doing that for a few weeks after a couple of hundred. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm keeping Hero.
Yep.
I don't.
509K.
Surely
38 free
you've got
total.
other fires to be putting out. I just don't get how you're trading 2,314 of you is trading the Euro out this week because he's got to buy. Like, yeah, surely you've got other things to put out.
Well, I would say 300 of those have him at fullback because there's 300 straight to Tom Turbo. So for that one, I can kind of see it. But for the other 168, trading him to Isaac Tungo. Like,
it's a money grab with the hope that Cleary's going to fix Tungo back.
Basically, yeah. You get about 110, 20K out of it, which is decent. Like, it's a good amount of coin. That's the thing too. Like, you got to think, he was 219, I'm pretty sure, when he started the year, Kyle Hero. And
He's
Isaac
made
Tungo at one point
200,
was
289 Ks, mate.
Yeah, he's flying up the ranks. And then, at one point, Isaac Tungo was 800K. So you look at those two as they are. Now you're going to make 120 doing it. So it's, But, dude, Kyle Hero's basing like 48 average in base.
You're getting 50 from him.
It's a 50 no matter what. He's just got one try and he's averaging over 50. Like, it's huge.
With everyone's depth and the issues you've got, the fact that he's dual center wing fullback, you've locked in 50 every week. He's going to play every week unless he gets injured. He's locked that spot down. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Averaging 59.3. So, monstrous. For one try. Literally one try. Yeah. Just keep him, please. Or don't. Trade him off. Do your
Yeah, I'll
thing.
have him as a pod.
No way. Dylan Edwards, number 10. So yeah, this one hurts for Edwards owners. I was one earlier in the year, sort of got off that one just before Origin, but yeah, 4 weeks, it's not going to be enough time. Realistically, he probably rests the last week or two, maybe gets a game, 1 or 2 more games this year. You just don't know. But 891k, that's a lot of coin that's just come into your bank account. To go from him to Turbo would be very popular, I'd imagine, this week. Um,
Or you bank
for a nice
160 for that.
nice discount. Yeah, it's
Him,
the most traded for him, so as
him,
expected.
him, him to Turbo for about 160k bank. Him to Ponga for 130k bank is a great option. Him
I
to
like it.
Pappy for 240k bank is I think probably an even better option.
I love that.
Yeah, you've got the options. Unfortunately, you had to trade Dylan Edwards, but you, myself, and Joel for the last sort of 3-4 weeks have been saying Dylan Edwards is probably a trade
Yeah,
out. Knowing that he was playing Origin, knowing Cleary was on his way back, and he'll lose that extra 20, 25 points for kicking, so he'll go back to his stock standard Dylan Edwards 75, which is by all no means bad. But we've been saying that now the 4-week injury plus then just the conservative nature of, we know that Penrith are more than likely just going to do what they've got to do to get to stay in the top 4 and don't really care where they play and what they do. They're that bloody good. So, yeah, with the potential to be either he goes longer and then plays the last couple of games, or he comes back, has a rest, plays the last kind of game. There's all those options that Penrith do. That have. So yeah,
valid.
I'd say there's 2,185 people who've traded him. Those that are quick on the ball, know that he's been out. That I reckon that'll skyrocket by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think it's really been put out there too much that he's actually out for 4 weeks. Once the teams, or he was never really named this week too, so no one sort of noticed it. But yeah, it's a fair trade out for a lot of money. Like it's very handy. Yeah, your hand got forced into that, I reckon. Like if you've held him now for this long, you've basically just ridden out all the games he hasn't played, thinking I'm just going to run home with him, and then you lose him right now, which sucks. But at least it wasn't like a Nico Hines situation where you've lost 400k off him and then lost him. You just lost him. But all the other fullbacks have become options, so it's very handy. But yeah, most traded in, Tommy Turbo. So look, it's Tom Turbo. He's a gun. It's going to shit me and scare me not owning him, but I don't see myself having Tommy Turbo this year. Won't happen.
Yeah, I feel like I've probably going to have to. Or it'll be him or Ponga. I've got to go. I've got that choice. The 60k or the 30k difference is what's it? Ponga's 760, I think. So yeah, that makes a difference. I feel people are seeing a 119 last week after they've beaten up Newcastle and going Turbo's back. He's not. Turbo is not back. Not yet. Now, I also saw in the last couple of days that they are very keen, and I think Seabold even said it, that they're very keen to keep Cooler in the fullback and play and have Turbo in the centers, and they're very keen to do that. So there's still that option too. Like there's still that sort of variable that you've got to weigh up. In saying that, do we know that's going to happen? We don't. That's just chatter. But there's a lot of it. So yeah. But you're picking Turbo this week after a 119 with his confidence sky high against a leaky Titans. I like it. I'm probably going to do it myself. But there are the risks. So yeah, buyer beware with Turbo. Buyer beware. There's a reason why he's cheap, and there's a reason why there's people trading him in. It's because he got bloody injured again. So
well, that's right. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the price between him and Ponga is so close. Obviously, the break even's pretty high for Ponga, but for that, considering the Roosters and a buy, And then for the Knights, their run is incredible between now and the end of the season. But the same, very similar in price, I'd just go to Ponga. Personally. Because you're going
Look,
to want Ponga. You're going to want him in 3-4 weeks' time when his draw opens up anyway, and the break even settles. Unless it's a short play, but realistically, you get Turbo in now. Okay, you get the Titans game. Then you have to cop a Roosters game and then a bye, and then you're going to want Ponga.
yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah.
is it worth getting him unless you plan on just riding him out?
Well, if you've got, and you can deal with the buy if you've got the double fullback. There's a lot that don't have the double fullback. There's still a lot that are riding. Hence the reason why they're trading out Fletcher Sharp, because there's,
Yeah.
they're holding him as a second one, or the Keeney. Some of us are doing the Keeney trade, which we were hoping Keeney would be a keeper for the year, which is not planned out. So, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that don't have, a lot of players that don't have the double fullback. So, yeah, that's something you've got to bear in mind, and that's definitely a lesson that I've learned this year, which I'll certainly not make again for next year. I'm not going to play roulette with the fullbacks again.
Keep your guns.
And there's too many risks and things, and it's just not worth it. But yeah.
Nathan Cleary, number 2. God, it's good to see his name back in the mix again. I still think it's worth waiting a week on. 800k, 180 something break even, so it's pretty high, and I just don't expect him to maintain that. Well, realistically, he hasn't really done a lot this year outside of any game. It's not like he was, lighting the world on fire beforehand. I still think he comes back strong. I don't think he's going to be rushed in any way, shape, or form. If he's fit now, he's as fit as he can possibly be. But again, there's always risk of re-injury. I'm not doing it this week. No chance.
No, I get it. I can see why they're doing it. I mean, you're weighing
100%.
up the fact that he's going to, the 100 odd, 120, possibly 150 points that Nathan Cleary can put on with his eyes closed against the Dolphins team, is what you're hoping for. And if you get that, awesome. Well done to you all. You've lost a few dollars, but Matt, the points certainly add up to it. I'm the same as you. I don't think it's worth it just yet. And knowing that I'm low on trades, knowing that I'm using the cash, and I'm starting to use my bank to make these problems disappear for me, I'm not doing it this week. The fact is that I feel like Nathan Cleary is probably going to get about 60, 70, which means he's going to drop a lot. And here's my opportunity to try and get a Cleary at the low end of 700k, or hopefully the lower end of 700k. That speaks big words to me. Like the 36 against Melbourne in round 1 when they got shut out. Then you got the 73 against Para, the 121 against the Broncos. Then he got injured, came back in round 8, played 51 against the Cowboys, and then missed round 9, came back for round 10 and played 31 and got 31 against the Bulldogs. It just shows to me that he doesn't, coming back from a break, he just sort of likes to just sort of ease in to me.
Yeah, I think so. And
I
rushed him. I rushed him back in as well. I cannot knock anyone of the 8,000 people trading him in this week. Genuinely, if I had more trades, I'd be doing it, I reckon, and I would be going in no fear. But I just don't have it. I've already used 3 getting him in, so I just give me a week, and then I'll rush him back in. So number 3 is TPJ. Well, actually, in Supercoach, he's not even junior anymore. He's just Tavita Pangai. Sorry,
yes,
junior.
I just saw that myself. It's not the J anymore. Yeah.
Nah, it's just TP. So
TP.
Look, the old TP. Dual 2RF front row. 379. It's Tavita Pangai. This isn't the junior of old. This is the new, refreshed Tavita Pangai. Man, he had a blinder. He's looking to offload every time he gets the ball. He's passing the eye test through and through. I think minutes are a big thing for him. If he can keep a starting spot, or if he can get himself even 45 minutes, with the amount of work he's putting in and the discipline, if he can maintain that, I don't mind it. I genuinely don't mind it. But again, it's one of those sort of things at this point of the year. It's like, is TP not Jay. Is he the guy you want to be getting in? And I don't really think so. It's more of a means to an end for this week, and maybe a couple more.
Yeah, I don't like it. I said this before that I don't like it. I don't knock it. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. I don't see the point. Like he's 379, right? So he's not even a good sort of downgrade target. You might be going like, I mean, who's trading? Like, are they going Ola to him? And now you're trading your big guns.
No, not necessarily. His most traded is actually Fletcher Sharp, somehow by
So
Jules.
there's
So
some big jewels there. There's a big
you
plays of jewels.
Ewan Aitken. So doing the Ewan Aitken one, you're banking about 170 odd. Blaze Talungi for 200 moves. There's some coin. Dylan Brown 194 odd. That's a Max Plath swap if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Nico Hines, Kyle Lero, Lockie Galvin, Mitch Moses, Dylan Edwards. Wow, imagine going Dylan Edwards to Pangai. That's insane. And Jamin Salmon. So, yeah,
I don't like any of those trades.
they're all about 150 odd each. Like it's very, very spread, very balanced. No one's rushing out any particular player to get him. Again, I don't really like them. They are definitely cash down options. No one's buying up
This
a
this
Pangai.
this screams to me like chasing points. You're chasing
Yeah.
that 90 and then hoping the hell like hell that he's going to do it again. I feel like more than likely or not, he's not. He plays Penrith this week, so let's be honest, he's probably only going to get half that. Look, the jewels are handy. The other side of it, which you touched on around the discipline. So when's he actually going to belt someone and he gets suspended?
Well, that's it. That's the risk
His
that you go
discipline is
with.
atrocious. However, God, he looks big. Jeez, he
He's a
looks like
monster.
he just, and he does not overweight, but God, he looks big.
Solid.
Like he
Solid as.
just looks. He's a tank, man. Like the boxing work that he's done has done that. The other side of thing that we've got to bear in mind is that he's playing for a contract too, so he surely peaks the discipline in him.
Yeah. I think
I don't hate it. I don't like it. But
yeah, I think that's the perfect way to put it is don't hate it, but I do not love it. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of those weeks for him. Matty Burton, number 4. This is one I do love. I can't find a bad thing to say about this trade in. 539 is insanely cheap for Burton. You just have to go back to the beginning of the year where he was banging out 80s almost every single week with about 3-point deviation over the course of 6 weeks. It was 80. It was 79 or 81. It was just nuts.
Yeah, he didn't have a
Dropped a
great
lot.
start to the year. 15, 50, 35. Round 4 was when he started to click in. So 67 against the Rabbits, 147 against the Roosters, 79 against Melbourne, 80 against Newcastle, 73 against the West, 80 against Penrith, 80 against Canberra, 81 against St. George. And then Origin sort of started to kick in.
Yep.
So 39 against Para, 16 against the Roosters, 63 against the Sharks, 71 against New Zealand, then had the bye in 19. He's come back after the Origin game. So, yeah, I love it. I really love it. And if you've got the opportunity to do it, I don't see why not. Yeah.
I think a lot will have the opportunity to do it. It's more so if they want to. You know what I mean? Like you've got, well, realistically, half the game have Brown. If you want it off him, if there's any week to do it, it's definitely this one while he's on a bye. You save yourself 60K doing it, and you get Matt Burton, who's just as viable, if not more so, because he's done more with it. And he's a dual too. You're not going backwards in any single position. If you've still got Hines, you've got an option out for it. There's plenty you can get him in for. Even Galvin, you can go down in cash. You can save 30 and get Galvin to Burton, like we spoke about earlier, if you really wanted to get him in. So plenty. I love it. It's great. Reed Marnie, number 5. So he's the most traded in hooker by margin too, by about 1,000 and so. But there's your straight out option for Appy Coruscant. And I like Marnie, but I just think for what Watson's doing right now, I'll just go with him. personally. But again, I don't think the Dogs have a bye from this point onwards, and their fixtures are decent. Where the Roosters do have one, so you just got to look at the overall. If you don't plan on trading a hooker out and you don't have a second one, because not many people really would have a viable second hooker play, there's a good chance that Marnie does outscore Watson from this point to the end of the season, if not by a great deal. Very similar, but I think, yeah, I like it.
I like it too. Yep, I do. I like it as well. Since being put into the lock, he's just been huge. 92 for St. George, 125 against the Bronx, 70 against New Zealand, 68, 58, 89, 76. Like, he's just been a monster, playing in that different role for the Roosters. And then a couple of the injuries that are happening and what they're doing there. So,
Talking about Marnie or Watson?
Talking about Watson.
Oh, I'm talking about Marnie.
Oh, are we? You said you moved on to Watson.
No, I was just saying Marnie's the most traded in hooker.
No, because but then you said you were
Watson.
Yeah, I got confused. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but like that's the whole point. That's the argument to go. Why would you get Marnie when Watson is like right there?
That's
and
right.
killing it?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't hate the Marnie trade. I do like it. I was just saying over the course between Watson and Marnie together, from this point to the end, considering Marnie gets the extra game.
Yeah.
Overall points wise, they're probably going to end the same. But I think Watson's just too hard to ignore.
Yeah, that's right. And which is what I was trying to say. I like the Watson. I'm a Marnie owner, so I'm quite comfortable with that and happy and don't mind seeing you all buying Marnie. Yeah, I like the Connor Watson. If I was going to buy, if I didn't have either and I had Appy, I'd be going Watson.
Yeah. We'll get on Watson in a second, but number 6 is Ruben Garrick. So I'm a Ruben Garrick owner, and you need to get him. Like, the bloke scored 100 points in, 60-odd minutes after having the flu. And he just doesn't really seem to let up. And it doesn't really seem like he's actually putting on that much. And then you look at his score and you're thinking, holy shit, this guy's on 80 already. He's barely done anything.
Got 73 the week before that, and I don't even think he stepped on the field.
No, just by turning up. He just wrote his name on the form and there's 70 points.
Yeah, it didn't even cross the white line.
Gun.
Yeah.
Absolute gun. Yeah.
Just weapon. A gun. Yeah.
And he's going down he's still going down in price. Like, he went down from last week after his 100. He's 618.
He ain't going to go down again with 33.
No, not a chance. Like, this is 100% the week to get him. 37% ownership, almost 60K, and traded in by 2.8 this week. So there's over 60K already. You kind of just have to get on board. Otherwise, you're missing out, because he's proven over the last, 5 years, I'd say he's a top 3 elite center wing in the game. Undeniable. And he can kick a ball. So, but yeah, next one, Connor Watson. So a lot of talk on Connor Watson this week. 677 Ks, dual second row as well. So there is a way to get him in, obviously, in your second row. If you just dead set wanted him in your side. I can justify that, to be fair, getting him in at second row, even still. The minutes are there for him. Obviously, the bigger pill is a hooker, because there's just a bit of a graveyard. But I love it. I love Watson. He's just been flying. His base in the last month has just been through the roof too. Would you get him in? I suppose in your situation,
no.
You got two good hookers. Like, you're not going to go sideways off them.
And I'm not going to bother. There's a trade that I don't have to make with Robson, and I'm quite happy to keep it. Robson's probably going to play this week, which is good. Marnie's already playing, so I'm quite happy.
Super
I don't
luxury.
need to make that. That would be an absolute luxury. I can see an Olakau'atu to Watson trade, but and the numbers he's been putting up, I don't see a problem with him in the 2RF.
No, exactly right. That's the thing. I suppose you get Watson in because you just have to get off Appy. Realistically, that's like a good play for it. JMK was my off last couple of weeks ago. A few weeks I got on Damien Cook. To be fair, I didn't really have a hooker option to hold in the meantime, waiting for Connor Watson to become an option for me. But if I hadn't done that, I would 100% be getting him instead. So I like that. But number 8, Isaac Tungo, we did talk about him earlier. Is
Just
the Cleary effect enough to make him relevant again?
just wait and see.
Just 1
Just
week.
you just gotta wait. Yeah, okay, he's got a break even of 63. So
It's not
like
a rush.
it tells you even more to just wait. Like, okay, he goes and gets an 80, he rises 5k.
Mm,
Like, I don't know the maths very well with the price rises, but it won't be much if he goes and gets himself an 80. And all that tells you is that, yep, look, the relationship between Clear and him is exactly why he's good and why he was a gun last year. Got to get him in. And if it doesn't, and he drops it and he gets to a 40 or whatever, he drops again. So yeah, wait a week and see. You don't need him.
mm. It's crazy how his average is so inflated considering like he's averaging 52.9 this season,
Yeah,
but he hasn't actually scored more than 74 he got in round 11, and 58 he got in round 7. Every other score since then has been below 41.
yeah, yeah.
He's still
Base.
averaging 52 just because of how good he went in the first 3 games of the year. Um, his last 5 round average is 38. It's strictly base and nothing else.
Yep.
So,
And who was beside him in those 3 games at the start of the year?
it was the old boy Nathan Cleary.
That's right. So I mean,
It's there.
the history suggests that it's there. It's right, but there's been a lot of games that says that it's not. So we've
Yeah.
just got to sit and wait and see. I think it's worth it. With a break even of 63, it's not worth the trade in just yet. Don't go early. This is one of those kind of don't go early trades that I talk about.
Because yeah, you could go early. Like he's 398k. It's very little to lose, but again, basically 400. It's not bottom dollar, and he's just off the top dogs. If he just continues to pop out 35s and 38s for the rest of the season, you're stuck. You know what I mean? Done nothing. You may as well have not done anything at all. But you give him 1 week, he scores 100, and you think, oh, it's definitely Cleary. Like Cleary is the difference. If he scores 100 with a 63 break even, he'll go up 35k, give or take. That's pretty much it. I'd be happy to buy Isaac Tungo for 440k.
Yeah, yeah, easy.
That's a buy. I'd still take that every day of the week. It's not
Yep.
that much. If his break even was 4, you'd be like, oh, you kind of have to take him now. But either way, I just don't think it's a rush. Um, who else have we got after him? Jaden Campbell. Bloody hell. People are still buying Jaden Campbell in now at 740k. But you know what? Minus 30 again, break even. Like he's still got another 100k to make.
Yeah, if not more.
Yeah.
Potentially, there's a $1 million man coming up. Um, yeah, look, I love it. I love the trade. I mean, there's a feeling of chasing points. And he plays
Yeah.
Penrith this week, but I think people are doing it because of the break even. He's going
Play
up. But if
Manly.
you're, sorry, they do. They play Manly. There's a feeling of if he, like, if you're only bringing him in because of his minus 30 and his recent form, and you're thinking he's a trade out later on, that's 2 trades, and we don't have 2 trades to do for that sort of stuff. So you're bringing him in. You're bringing him in to keep him for the year, in the hope that you're keeping him for the year.
My intention when I got him in was he will be a very, very quick cash grab ticket out.
Yeah.
Providing he doesn't keep the spot, Brimson comes back, they keep Keeney, whatever happens. I don't see him losing that jersey, man. Not now. Not with Brimson off and him doing what he's doing every week. Good chance, yeah. He's 900k in a week or two to like a couple weeks time, probably. He's going to be the best 5'8" in the game by a mile, too. There will be daylight between him and the next. Like, fair enough, you can get the coin and trade him out. It's another trade to do something else with. But like, why would you? If he's doing what
See,
he's doing, just
that's
keep
right.
him.
And he's got the dual. He's got the fullback option too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So you've got 2 ways to get him in. Considering he does have that dual, and a lot of people are trying to sort out their fullbacks at the moment, I'm surprised his trade in ownership's not higher than 1900 this week. Like
yep,
you've got 2 avenues to get him in. And yeah, 740. Like you're putting him in the same price bracket as Turbo and Ponga. except these guys have like 80 to 160 break evens. His is minus 30. So it's, I'd say, dependent on your trade amounts, but you get him in. I don't think I'll be trading him out.
No, my
not
hope is
for
I
him.
don't have to.
Yeah, well, that's the hope. Not if I can avoid it. Number 10 is actually a player that I was looking at this week pretty heavily, just in solitude, but it's Jack Whiten. 477k, center 5'8". Basically he's the exact same price as Burbo, and I needed to fill a hole. And I thought, shit, should I humor the Jack Whiten trade in? Minus 15 break even. Great run from here to the end of the year. Obviously they keep losing troops, which isn't very good for their prospects, but for a 5'8" that has the potential ceiling that he does, obviously the break even's only relevant if you trade him. And by this point, Jack Whiten gets in my side. He's not leaving. But their run is good. He's playing good. To be fair, the Rabbits have been pretty good. Him and Cody next to each other. I don't mind it. Genuinely don't. I think the floor is really low for Whiten on a bad game. You're talking 20s and 30s, but the upside is definitely there. What do you reckon?
I like Tungo more than Whiten at this point, and there's a lot to say about what we said about Tungo. Yeah. That's pretty much all I want to say on Whiten. I like watching Whiten as an NRL player. I like watching him. I love his tenacity, his attitude. I love what he can do, his skill. I like it. It doesn't result in Supercoach scores often enough.
No,
He'll
not at
he'll get 120 and then go 4 or 5 weeks of 20s and 30s. But yet you'll sit there and put him in the votes of a game because he's had a really good game by the eye test on what you see in a game. So, yeah, I don't like it. I would, if I'm going to make that trade, I'm pushing to Tano instead and taking the risk on him for, basically 90k less or 80k less.
No, that's exactly my thought as well. I thought, jeez, it's just like, I know he can go big, but again, like a Whiten big is an 80 pointer. You know what I mean? It's not 150. It's not really even. You might pip 100 once or twice in a season, but you'd be very lucky to get that game. You're more than likely going to cop a 25 on an off one. And it is the Rabbits too. Losing troops, you just can't rely on them turning their form around without, the big boys around. But that's the 10 on each, the trade in and outs, man. So I don't know. I don't know if I've helped or hindered myself, because my trade thoughts this week are, I don't know what I'm doing. It's a bit all over the shop. I'm just gonna wait it out. What are you going to be doing?
Yeah, we've got to wait it out. I think everyone's got to start thinking. This week's going to be one of those ones where it's trade as we go, making sure that Origin boys come back. But even then, with the team list, there's still so many what ifs with who's been named in the reserves and what's going on. Like for me, the Keeney. Unfortunately, with that 167, I've still got to kind of trade him. I've still got to keep him. Sorry, not trade him. At this point in time, my thoughts are: I go Aiken to enough. I'm pretty happy with what's in my center wings. I've got Young, I've got Karaz, I've got Isako, I've got Marju. I've got Iro, I've got Jay Gagai, and I'm quite happy with that 6. And so I go Aiken to enough. I bank the 300 odd K that I can get off that, and that will give me more than enough to push Sharp to Turbo. Sharp to Turbo is going to cost me 370,000, so that'll leave me with about 300k with 5 trades left. I think and I'd be pretty comfortable with where I'm at. I will probably end up going, my forward plan for that will be D Brown to Cleary next week, with hopefully another drop, which would only end up costing me about 150 if Cleary doesn't do as well as I hope. So that's probably where I'm going. I think if I do the maths, I could probably even go Aiken down to Tungo and then push Sharp up still anyways. but that won't give me all the nice cash that I've got left over, which means I'd still have to do a 1 or 2 down with those 5 trades to get money. So yeah, that at the moment it's Aiken to enough, Sharp to Turbo or Ponga.
Nice. I like that. I think you just got to think about who's the fullback you want to end with, because with 5 trades, it's going to be very tricky to try and jump off Turbo if you get
I'd
him.
love to end up with Teddy, but I can't afford him. So the risk is I'm going to say that Ponga and Turbo score the same amount as what Teddy does.
Yeah, hopefully for you. Anyway,
that's the fingers crossed.
Yeah. I've got a little Pappy play to try and get myself a Ponga. That's my bridge if I do decide. I'm very keen to have Pappy at the moment. I still find like his ownership is so low. He's not even traded in by 1% this week. He's 650k. People need a fullback. It's Pappenhausen. They're great. They've got the Roosters this week. Admittedly, that's no fun. It is what it is. But then they've got Parramatta and then the Dragons. I'm like, oh, yes, please. And then the Rabbits.
You're even talking me into going Sharp to Pappy, and that's only going to cost me 300 grand.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking personally,
or less.
Okay, I'll wear this game against the Roosters. It's fine. Whatever. Like, he might still score well. I don't care. If he scores 40, he scores 40. But then you got, the Eels, crazy. Dragons, and then the Souths. From round 23, they've got the Panthers after that. So it's like, okay, you can kind of write that game off. But that game from there, the last 4 weeks, straight to Ponga. Ponga has his bye. He has his Panthers game. His break even will be settled. And then you have Ponga for the last 4 games. And you can just go, bump, bump, leapfrog it over. Done. Makes so much sense. Or, providing Pap is just a gun for the entire time, I'll just keep Pap and just, not play him against the Panthers. So it just depends on how many trades I have. If I have that one that I need, I think I'll be doing that. But I really like the Pap play. He makes me feel good watching him.
I said at the start of this podcast, Pappenhausen as a pod fullback for the rest of the year is a bloody good option. I think that's a great option. I'd be very happy to have that if I kept him. I kind of wish I did, but it is what it is. I think that's a great play. I also, to be honest, I wouldn't be too deterred by the Penrith game that comes up late in the year. Who actually knows what's going to happen? There could be restings. Penrith are not as into it because, they're quite comfortable where they're sitting. The only thing that concerns me about the Pappy play is the Storm's success. The fact is they're 4 points ahead. So they're already 2 games ahead in first.
I don't think they rest him. I don't think he's played enough to be rested. I think he needs the minutes.
Well, I don't agree. I think Pappenhausen is a player that can still run out at 80 minutes with a game off or 2.
Yeah, but he's had plenty of them.
Yeah. So that's why I think that there's a possibility that he can be rested, particularly because they've got Sewer sitting there.
Yeah.
So then they've got the option to be able to play. And if they don't rest him in terms of a full game, maybe it's a half, maybe it's, it's 50 odd minutes and then Sewer plays the last 30, 40 minutes. Like, see, that they're the risks that I think will happen a couple of times, particularly because the Storm's run is pretty good too, like as you said. So, if they push to if they come out with a blowout, there's every likelihood that Pappenhausen's one of the first ones that sits out.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And I think considering where the Knights will be sitting towards the back end of the season, I really want Ponga for that last stretch. So that's where the leap will be. But it could be good until then. I'm sort of looking this week. I've got 226k in the bank. If I don't do any trades at all, which was the intention, Ola Kawatu will become a non-player for me, which gives me a free crack at a loop, I guess. if I leave him in and don't try and rectify the hole that's going to be there. And I might just take a hit in the overalls to save some trades. I don't know. Because essentially it's going to make my AE Hughes or Burbo, one of the two. There's no any other way to do it. But that's me playing Simkin. It's one or the other. I don't have a lot of options this week. I've got a lot of players off. It's not very nice. It's not ideal, but I could go Burbo down to Tongo, bank another 70k, sit on 300 for my trades in the thing. You got 7 for the rest of them after that. I could go Blaze Talungi up to basically any center wing right now. I got 800k in the bank, so that's tempting. Just to get myself a gun because I am missing a couple in my center wing. It's not exactly where I'd like it to be. And I've got no problem doing that with Blaze. I don't like going down because I think his point scoring is quite good. But if I can turn him into like a premium gun, I'd be more than happy to. Or yeah, like if I want to keep Hughes, I can go Porter, but I'd be spending 80k to go Porter to Pangai, and I am not a fan of that at all. So at the moment, I'm all over the place. I don't want to trade out Olakawatu, but I do want Angus Crichton, and he's a very easy way to do it. So that's also on the cards for me too. Seems like a massive waste, but 3 weeks out, you know what I mean? It's a fair while, so gotta decide. But I've got a whole night to ponder on this before I work it out anyway. So that's it.
Yeah, you're in a tough run, my friend. You're in a tough run.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, but we always come good. We'll work it out. Captains. This is
Yeah,
even trickier.
what a
This is
tough
insane.
weekend. I'd love to see what people are thinking and get the thoughts of everybody. I'm just
Well,
currently looking through the NRL website now at some of the games.
so I'll give you the run for the most in the top 10 ranked coaches. Who do you think the most captain player is this week? Just off the top of your head.
Teddy.
No. He's not second or third either.
Isn't he? Turbo
No.
then.
No. But it's Ruben Garrick, most captain.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
like it, to be fair. I do. And it's 22% in the top 10, have him as captain. I can't knock it, to be honest. I think he's a great option. Saw what he did last week in, say limited minutes. He could have had 150. Tommy Turbo is second most too.
I like a couple options. The Rabbitohs West Tigers game's got a couple of nice little options. A Coolamatangi VC against an ugly West Tigers is a good option with a couple attacking stats there. It would be a great choice. Walker in that game against the Tigers too, with all the play. Another 80. I feel like another 80 this week wouldn't be so bad. Ponga against the Broncos is juicy.
Yeah. If you've got Ponga already, I think I'd be locking that in.
Yeah. Ponga against Broncos. No one for the Broncos interests me. Storm Roosters game I'll steer clear of. Dom Young is probably my favourite. I'm an owner of a few boys in this game. Crichton, Jerome Hughes, I think will still go 70s and 80s, which again, as I said, is not a bad thing. I think Dom Young's just going to have a monster game against our defense. So he's a sneaky pod play for a captain or VC. Penrith against Dolphins. I'd love to know how many you already got the captain on Cleary.
3.4%.
Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a lot of people wanting to risk to bring him in, but don't think that he's going to score big. So
bringing in Cleary, you're captaining him, in my opinion.
So I
you're already
think that's
taking a gamble.
Yeah, that's funny. No one for the Dolphins interests me at all. They're playing the Panthers.
Yes.
Manly Titans is another interesting game. Turbo captain, I think, would be pretty juicy. Feeder. And whilst we know that, playing beside Foran has been a hampener for his scores, he's a good option. I think he's a safe bet for a 70-80. I think I'm going to put the C on Campbell, though, and play with my VCs early. And I don't think anyone from the Cowboys or Bulldogs interests me. Defense-wise for the Bulldogs, no one for the Cowboys interests me. And I don't think anyone on the Bulldogs, although I did say Carraz. So Carraz might be a good sneaky play too. So look, there's a few options, but none of them I'm actually sold on. None of them I'm confident on. So I could end up with a 20 or 30 here as a captain option. And yeah.
I feel like this will be one of those weeks where, your side scores 70s plus pretty much across the board. You get a couple of tons and you captain a 40.
Yeah. You know what? Now that I've looked at this more, my favourite VC option is Kulamutangi, and my favourite captain option is Ponga.
I think the Ponga captaincy this week would be immense, and he is captained by 0.4%.
Yeah.
So no one even owns him yet. That's the thing. Like, if you've got him, you're captaining him. I think it's just a lock-in. VC as well, 0.5 for Ponga. So it's just not happening on his end yet. Until his ownership skyrockets, which will probably happen in 2 weeks' time. But look, I like the Garrick as well, to be honest. I think the opportunity is definitely there for him. Tedesco is always a safe shout, but I'm a little bit hesitant against the Storm just because they're the Storm. They can do anything. So normal options every week that'd be so confident, they always seem to be playing each other this week. So it's kind of tricky because everyone's got conflicting matchups. Jerome Hughes, exactly, playing the Roosters, so I wouldn't go there on that end too. You know what? It might be one of those weeks where you just lock in like a Terrell May 90-pointer.
Oh, that's a big risk.
28%. Why not?
Against the Storm. Yeah,
100%.
right.
Straight through the guts.
Now that you've said that, you better do it. Put your money where your mouth is.
I'll chuck a VC on him. I got a free crack at a loop if I don't sort out Olakuatu anyway, so that works out.
Look, I like it, but as I said, see, I really like Kulamutangi against the Tigers now, and I'm not a Kulamutangi owner, but that's a bloody good play. I feel.
I think it is. Yeah. Anything against the Tigers is a good play.
Yeah.
If
you're listening to this and you're trying to decide just as much as us who you got captain and VC, have some fun. Let us know too, because I think this is one of those weeks. There's going to be a lot of pod plays.
I'm taking it.
It's like, but see, Jesse, don't be a loser like all those other people have been recently, who don't tell us that you've made the C's until they've actually scored well. Like, actually tell us now. Tell us before right, and then like for all of you who captained Trindle last week on his 130, right? None of you has said that you traded him in. So none of you were strong and pig-headed and egotistical enough to say, hey, I traded in Trindle and then put the captain on him. You all waited till he scored 130, right? So tell us now. Tell us, who are you going? Have the balls and the guts.
I looped Jaden Campbell last week. He was my trade-in. It was the VC of Juju's. I got the Juju and I took it. So I feel like I kind of have to honor him that again, at least a little bit. To be honest with you, I have no clue. I don't even know. I would.
That's another.
I'll probably trade in someone. Yeah, I think so as well. But I'll probably trade in someone this week that I'll be considering captaining. But I just haven't decided what I'll be doing yet because I'm just nowhere right now. Straight up. Yeah.
Fair enough. Still hungover from the Blues win.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I'm just soaking it in. I'm looking at my side thinking, you know what? You can have a week off. You'll do the job. You know what? You'll do the job. I'm just going to stop trading. Leave it as it is. Right, eight trades in for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, no, on that, mate, is there anything else you wanted to touch on? I think we pretty much went over the works and some.
No, thank Christ we're past the bye rounds.
Oh, God. I know.
Good luck, everybody. Yeah, lots of good plays. Lots of a big rest of the year coming up. Geez, the year's going fast. We're 18th of July.
20.
We're sitting at round 20. It's the 18th of July. It's term 3 for all you school people and people's kids. she's flown by. Stop
Yep.
and stop, have a look around and take it all in, because it's blowing by pretty quick, and it won't be too long and the season's gone, and we'll be sitting here waiting for the off season. During the off season. So good luck, everybody.
Good luck. Couldn't have put it any better way. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Catch us on the next one.